Yeah, you gotta see, you were so professional that there was a point where like, why? I'm 37 years old. Why is this beautiful grown woman calling me sir? Like in between takes.
I'm telling you, some people are taken back by that because you're a sir and a ma'am, whether you're 8 or 80. So, but when you're 40 and 30s, people are like, wait, hold up. Why are you calling me sir? Why am I a ma'am? And like everybody gets it. I'm sorry. I'm not being rude and I'm not calling you a certain age. It's just what I do. It just comes out.
First I got your voicemail, then I got you. We can meet in person or maybe on Zoom. So tell me what's your genre, tell me what do you do. I'd like to know the things that specifically make you.
Hey, I'm Tim Barnes. You are the genre. And in every episode of this show, I ask a great guest about the first genre that inspired them, the first craft that they pursued, and how they feel about that first pursuit now. And this episode is a semi-cap on a series of interviews that I've been releasing with people who have been involved in a scripted audio series that I created called Judge Travis. This episode, I'll be talking to Keesha Sharp, who plays Shirley Travis on the show. She's an incredible actor, but she's also an incredible director, television director. So I was just as excited to talk to her as I was to, oh my goodness, direct her in the episodes of Judge Travis that she appeared in. I also have some exciting news on the Judge Travis front. It is, okay, you're going to listen to me as I look up the proper way to say this. Okay, I'm going to judgetravis.com to see a new laurel, the first laurel, official laurel that Judge Travis has received from the Tribeca Festival as a part of the 2026 Creators Market. So the laurel says Tribeca Festival 2026 Creators Market official selection. So I will be among a select group of people at the 2026 Tribeca Festival Creators Market here in New York. You know, Tribeca, the festival that Robert De Niro is the key figure of. I hope I get to meet him and all of his black children. I'm fascinated by them. And one thing there, a quick shout out to my manager, Carly Hogendijk, who kind of helped me get into this position, helped Judge Travis get into this position at the Tribeca Festival. It's a part of the overall goal, which is to turn Judge Travis into a TV series. Judge Travis, as I mentioned before, is a real full circle moment for me. I started off in the world of behind the scenes audio editing and things like that. Then I built my career up to writing for television. And when this opportunity came, it was like, wow, I could put all of those skills to the test and I can make an audio sitcom like no other. Something that if you heard someone listening to it in the living room while you're walking there from the hallway, you'd assume that they're watching a TV show. That's kind of the concept of Judge Travis. So I'll be talking to industry people to kind of help get it further into that direction, which would be awesome. So thank you to everyone at Tribeca. Thank you for everyone who made Judge Travis possible. And thank you to Carly and all the wonderful producers, Hans and Elizabeth, who helped make this Judge Travis journey, this Judge Travis journey happen. But the real joy of this episode is my conversation with Keesha Sharp, because she is a world-class talent. We'll be talking about this a lot in this episode, but she was the most professional person that I've ever interacted with. Probably the most professional person I've ever interacted with, and it was via Zoom. I directed her via Zoom she was at a studio in LA and I was in my apartment in New York. And it was a true masterclass, and she gives some great tidbits on her journey, some great tidbits about directing for television, for multicam. She's got just an incredible career. You've seen her in The People versus O.J. Simpson. You've seen her in Pootie Tang. You've seen her in Girlfriends. You've seen her in The Good Fight. You've seen her in Fox's Empire. You've seen her in Fox's TV version of Lethal Weapon. You've seen her everywhere. And you've also seen the effect of her work as she's directed many television shows. So just, buckle up. Get ready for a beautiful, wild ride of a conversation. Nothing but appreciation for you being a part of it. Your husband was so gracious to
Thank
help
you.
out with some tech things.
Yes.
But you are a voice and a personality that really brought Judge Travis together. I was so
Oh,
grateful for you to be a part of it. And I was in awe. Like we recorded remotely, and you were by far the most prepared actor for something that, by definition, like a scripted audio series, is something that I feel like the vibe is actors don't have to be super prepared because it's kind of like considered a low stakes thing. But you
yeah.
came in, it seemed like with notes, like you knew exactly what beats
That
to hit.
is, listen, Tiff, that is so me. Like, hello, I'm Keesha. I'm like always, or super early. I'm always overly prepared. I don't know if you can be overly prepared. I'm always very prepared. So then you can let everything go because you've taken the time to prepare yourself.
Yeah. And I felt like
Yeah.
that must have been an element of the fact that you're not only a fantastic actor, but you're also a noted television director. So you know
Yeah.
what it's like to be on all sides of the situation, it seems
I
like.
do. I do. And to be honest, because I am on that side, I don't know. I've always been this way, so I can't blame it on directing, but it just makes me see every aspect of the business, not just as an actor, which is great. I'm not saying anyone who just acts doesn't know all that's going on, but because you do, you want to make sure you're prepared. There's, your time, everyone's time. How can we get this done in the amount of time we can? Not just get it done, but get it done well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I'm excited to dive into the main points of this show because when you were finally cast, I did go through like a bit of a deep dive. I rewatched some
Yeah.
episodes of Girlfriends. I tried to listen to some of the other podcasts that you've been a guest on because I like to
Yeah.
see like how does the actual person align with the script and what are some elements of that can kind of mesh in there.
Yeah.
But having done that months ago, my thought of you now is like, oh, you're still a bit of an enigma, and I feel like that's important as an actor as well to have an air of
Yeah.
mystery. Do you feel like you protect yourself from all the things that
Yeah.
can be out there?
I guess so. I absolutely do. But if you work with me, you'll know everything about me. I share everything. I might overshare. Um, but no, I do. I'm not, there's this saying, they say, I'm not in the streets. I'm definitely not in the streets. And I've been married for a really long time too. And so we're like my husband and I are very much like our little world. And then we come out to work and we go back into that little world. So that's probably something to do with it as well. Yeah.
Where are you from?
Upstate New York, Rochester, New York.
Okay. Because I was talking to some of it's like a very Chicago-centric show, oddly. Not on
Yeah.
purpose, but Bashir's from Chicago. Langston
Wow.
Kerman, who plays Jax in the show, is from Chicago. Brandy Denise, who plays the bailiff, is from Chicago.
Wow.
And I was like, hey, I wonder if Keisha's from
Listen,
Chicago.
I'm Chicago adjacent, okay? I love Chi-Town. No, I'm not to say that Rochester isn't cool, but I'm not, Chicago's very cool. Rochester is, upstate, very upstate. And if you don't know, it's closer to Canada. When you say Rochester, New York, people think, oh, is that near Queens? Is that near
Yeah.
Jersey? No, nowhere near. It's 8 hours almost. So yeah. Yeah, no Chicago, but I love Chicago.
Just out of curiosity, what could you describe as the Black population of upstate New York? That's not something that, in my mind, goes hand in hand.
It's funny because there is it's a big population, and it was one of the stops on the Underground Railroad. It was a very important stop. So there's parts of Rochester that are very ingrained in Black history. But that being said, in terms of the demographic, I would say probably 30%.
Okay.
I would say about that in Rochester, New York. So we have a community there. It's not Chicago.
Yeah.
But it does. We do have a community there. Yeah.
Nice. I'm from California, and something that has kind of guided my interest in history is the fact that so much of U.S. history is in this East Coast pocket. And so as someone who was born in California with extended family from Louisiana and Mississippi, I feel like a couple years ago, I woke up and I'm like, wait, how is it that everyone all the way on this other side of the continent even like remotely cares about this Independence Day that happened all the way over there? for this one group of people.
Yeah,
it's kind of
it's funny how
amazing.
how that happens. Like we had nothing to do on the West Coast. We had nothing. We weren't even part of it at that point. It is interesting to think that, like it, we've expanded as a country and now we celebrate every aspect of it, I guess.
Yeah. It's the power of storytelling.
That's
So,
I like that. Yeah.
growing up in upstate New York, I'm curious to
Yes.
know, as we dive into the first question of the show,
Yes.
what was the first genre that called out to you as a kid?
Listen, I'm very musical. So, um, first of all, I played clarinet, cello, and piano, and I sang. So that's what I thought. My mom wanted me to be a lawyer. So that was always on the back burner. And then I had a stint of wanting to be a vet because I love animals so much. So if anything was sick, a bird, whatever, I would bring it home. I don't know why my parents allowed me to do such a thing. And they always died. And I always buried them in a box or a shoebox in the yard. Like this little black girl, like, what is she doing? But anyway, but music was always spoke to my soul. So musicals were so ingrained for me. And I was a little nerd kid. And my brother and sister were very hip and I just wasn't that way. And so I would listen to, like, Yentl was one of my favorite movies. The Wiz, The Wizard of Oz. I mean, Lady Sings the Blues. Things that singers and stories. So that was always something like Bye Bye Birdie, and I would tape them because back then, you can't do that. I had a little tape recorder. I would tape the movie, like the sound, the music, and then I
Yeah.
would go back into my room and learn the song. So that was what was so important to me growing up. So I wanted to do Broadway and theater. That's what spoke to me. Stories always story, but in the form of music.
I had an early love of musicals as well, and I feel
Really?
like I can dive into a bit of what inspired Judge Travis. So Judge Travis is a philanderous uh, TV judge,
Yes,
and
he
an
is.
element of that is inspired by my actual grandfather, who I got to live with for like 6 months when I got my first TV writing job, and
Wow.
he is the reason I have so many grandmothers, so to
Okay.
speak. And one
That's
one of
funny.
those grandmothers, my nana, is the one who got me, who would always be watching musicals and got me into like Orphan Annie and
Yes.
all that stuff. And I feel like every Black person loves Annie.
I love Annie, honey. That was one of my first solos in second grade. I stood up in front of the class. I went to a private school and we had our uniforms, Catholic school. And I just, for some reason, I wanted to sing Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and they allowed me. It was the first time I stood up in the middle of anyone and sang a song, and it was Tomorrow from Annie.
Nice.
Yeah.
It feels like that's the one of all the things. There's always like an uproar when there's like a Black version of a classic. I feel like even The Wiz had that when it came out.
Absolutely did.
Absolutely none of that for the reboot of Annie that was Black. I feel like
Zero.
there's something about Annie where it's just like it
It's okay.
translates. It's like, oh, she's an orphan. That's cool. And,
Yeah, we can believe that. Like we're not everywhere, but okay.
so what is there something like an emotional tether to it? Is there something that music brought out of you as a kid
Oh
that nothing
yeah.
else could?
I think for me, oh man, music just it took you to a place, right? And it didn't matter what genre of music it was. If there's story, it was story. It was story with music. Because if you combine the two of those, because you think of a film, a great film that has, you know, that's not a musical, a great film, but it still has music.
Hmm.
And music, if you turn that sound off, the movie no longer feels the way you need it to feel.
Yeah.
And so for me, music has always been something that spoke to the soul, and you are able to tell a story through music, even when it's not a musical. Just like I said, you have composers for films because music is that important. It can tell you how to feel. It can tell you so do I need to be scared here? Do I need to be, what do I need to feel here? The music will take you on that ride. And there's nothing like music to tell a story that's international. We don't have to speak the same language. Music transcends all that. And that's always been something that I felt since I was young.
Did it feel like a bit of a discovery in some way? I'm trying to dive into the
How?
vibe that you
How?
described of like your other siblings didn't seem to be into it,
They were,
but
I will say, they were into rap and stuff. And I grew up in a super strict home. So they were listening to it when they weren't supposed to.
Okay.
I'm telling them, they know, anyway. But I was that kid was like, I'm not supposed to. So I didn't. But for me, I was so young when music touched me. And even when I'm talking about my instruments, right? So the clarinet was the first one. And the feeling of playing those notes and hearing that sound. And I love the sound of it, like the oboe. I love that sound too. And I love the sound of a cello, which is why I wanted to play cello, because the sound of it is so warm and it just makes you open up. For some reason, the sound of that instrument spoke to me. Very young, it touched me. I can't even tell you when, but I was super young when I started singing and playing. Church, for sure. I was in a church choir. We had a kids group, a kid chorus. I was a part of that since I was probably in first grade, since I could speak. So I would say I never thought about it until you just asked, and it just came to me as I'm speaking. I'm like, well, no, that's where music came from, church. It came from singing in choir and singing to God and how that felt. And it felt more connected through music than even talking to him, right?
Yeah.
And when we were in church, preacher was great, but when we sang a song, that really touched me more. So that's where it began. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And when you started to perform songs like singing, you said you sang the song from Annie on stage, right?
I did. I did.
Did you feel that same thing? You had that same feeling that you got from church? Like, do you feel like you're transcending yourself in some way?
For sure. It feels like what can't be said, you sing, right? So I could convey an emotion easier through a song than I could just speaking. Right. And the same thing with music. I can sit down and play a piano, especially classical. That was like where I'm classically trained at piano. I wish I could play jazz and piano. I wish I had that kind of freedom, but that's not my gift at all. I wish. But no,
that's so strange though, because I feel like was it like gospel music at the church, or was it more?
But I grew up in a very strict church that we didn't even have instruments in church.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so it was a cappella. Growing up in that church, you didn't believe in instruments. You had to sing with your voice. So there was no band. It was vocal. And so that's interesting. You're having me think, Dan. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That there was no musical instruments, yet I was drawn to play musical instruments because of singing in church. Wow. That's interesting.
And that almost makes it seem like your interest in instruments was a form of rebellion. No, if you can use...
That's literally what I was just thinking. I was like, wait, we're getting deep here, Dan. It had to be. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. It had.
But you didn't have to like sneak a cello in, right? Like
no, but I couldn't dance though. I couldn't dance. So and so that part of, and my dad, bless his heart and bless both of them. I love my parents, but he wasn't as strict as my mom was. So like when I joined, once I got to junior high and high school, I started to do musical theater and my mom was against it. And so, and even like if I would dance in a show, I would feel away if she was going to come and see it. It was a lot of that growing up because of what they thought. Different thinking now, but at the time, that's what they believed. Yeah. And so part of my musical talent and draw probably does have to do with a little rebellion. And I never thought about that, like for sure.
I'm really interested in this because I wouldn't say that my parents are strict, but we grew up very religious, and it became something that was personal to me. I think that there was the sense that there are rules around dancing. There are rules around like how to express and let things flow out. But I had my own self-imposed rules about like, not even rules, but almost like a fear around the freedom of like dancing. Like I'm really not a dancer, but I also have this fear of like the lack of control, the lack of
letting go.
Yeah. Like anything could happen. I feel like that is similar to other ideas of like, quote unquote, the devil's instruments or whatever, of just like the fear of what can be unleashed.
Because again, if you're raised the way we are now, that I know we both were, there is a fear of freedom, right? Things have to be controlled. And if not, what does that mean on the other side? Now I think differently than
Yeah.
I did growing up, but that's the way I thought. It was very easy for me to stay in boxes. So as a child and as a teen, because I didn't want to disappoint, I didn't want to do anything wrong and all the things. But it's interesting you say that because I did rebel, even when I did musical theater in high school, because I wasn't supposed to, and I auditioned anyway. And I was so scared because I knew my mom would be upset and all the things, but I did it. I did it, and I did it. So that way, I'm thinking out loud, right? I'm like, you did do some stuff you weren't supposed to do, and eventually she, accepted it. But I did it without her wanting me to, and that was something I would have never done as a kid. So music helped me find my voice even when I didn't realize it. And even I'm talking to you, I'm just realizing it now. I've never really had this discussion to think, yeah, I guess it did. It helped me find freedom in art and all those things. Yeah.
I'm not a parent, but I want to know if you have this thing as a parent where, because I think about this sometimes where it's like, even though everyone has elements of their childhood that they're like, when I grow up, I'm gonna do this differently.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's some things where it's like, well, I think that what made me a better person at the end of the day is because I struggled my way out of this set of beliefs. So then sometimes I'm like, well, maybe it's like the Santa Claus thing. Maybe I should maybe I should have these rules and just watch them wriggle their way out of it, because that's how do you have some?
It's funny. No, I did not. I did the thing where people were like, our son was whatever interests he had, he was involved in. So even for summer breaks, there were whatever his interest was. He was a week in pilot camp, a week over here in animation, a week with dolphins at training the dolphins in Hawaii. I wanted him to be able to explore everything he ever wanted to do. And I never wanted him to feel like I did, where I had to fight for it or I had to lie and go behind my parents' back and audition for something. So the way we raised him is different, because I didn't want him to feel those. That's a horrible feeling, because you don't want your parents to be upset with you or angry with you at that age, for sure.
Yeah.
And I didn't want him to ever feel that way. So we gave him a lot of leniency because I didn't want him to feel that way. But I can understand what you're saying, because some people are like, well, look at how I came out. I came out great because of those challenges. But he'll find other challenges in his life. It doesn't have to be that one. And the challenge is he's got a mom that's like a mama bear, like protection. It's like, Mom, I can do it myself. I know, but I want to be here. I'm on the phone. You need me. I'm here. He might have to, handle that a little bit, but that's better.
Well, how does that tie into, or does it tie into what you would consider the first official craft as you pursued? It seems like you may have mentioned it in some way, but was the first thing that you took really seriously music? Was it performance? Was it a combination?
Yeah, for sure. It was a combination of both. So in high school, I did musicals, and I also thought I was going to be in an orchestra with clarinet at Oberlin. That was I was like Boston Conservatory or Oberlin or Tisch. And so I ended up choosing the Boston Conservatory and going 100% into theater and musical theater. And that was the choice I made. So for me, my instruments fell to the side because I didn't have time to give them what, you have to, if you're going to go into something like that professionally, that is all day, everyday grind to make you the best clarinetist, pianist, or cellist. And I chose the other. So I knew this would be something I loved, but it would be hobbies now. And so that's how it turned into. So I went to the Boston Conservatory and delve into theater, 100%.
What's the joy of theater for you? Like what is
because I miss it. I miss theater. And I just saw 2 things this past week. No, 3 things. So anyway, I love theater. There's nothing like, except maybe multicam touches it a little, where there's a live audience. And to me, the audience is a part of the show. It's the character. There's energy. We're energy. Energy is coming off of them as they're watching, and we're giving energy back. That kind of copacetic, I guess, that kind of live, human interaction is something it's very hard to get elsewhere, except a live performance like that. And I would assume, musicians and rock stars and those things might have the same kind of feeling. because they have this audience giving them this energy and they're singing back. But with musical theater, you're telling a story through song, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you, unless it's an opera, in terms of it's all song, which there's some, it doesn't have to be an opera because Hamilton is in that world, and but I guess it's considered opera because it's all singing. Oh, and there's no dialogue in terms of no music. Okay, Keesha, come back. ADHD. I'm sorry, Deb. Anyway, but yeah. So for me, there's nothing like live theater. I miss it. Oh, I miss it a great deal. I love it. I love that energy you feel when you're on stage telling a story, and the people are right on the edge of their seat on the story you're telling. You can't get that through television because you shoot it and then it's on TV. It's not the same thing. So
Yeah. You make me think. The first TV writing job I had, they did a revival of all that on Nickelodeon around
oh, yes.
2019, and for some reason, studio audiences were always like a mystery to me. I'm from California, but I had never been in a TV studio audience until I started writing for this show.
Yeah.
And that in itself was just like, I had no idea that it was even actually real. You have this idea of a laugh track, but there was one moment when I got this particular sketch on, and seeing all these kids laugh at it, I was on cloud nine. And I was kind of like, it was this magical feeling where it's like, I can just like leave the show right now because that's like the most satisfying.
It's the most, because you can see it in real time.
Yeah.
That laugh happened in real time. You knew what you wrote made them laugh in real time. And there's no high like that. That's like, I would have felt there is a high, like with comedians, that's what they get, constantly when they're telling their jokes and we're laughing at it. It's like, I can understand what a high they want to keep chasing with that. It's nothing like it. Like you said, when you realize that feeling, you want to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that instruments basically went the way of the hobby. Is that a difficult choice? Because that's something, I think that's a crossroad that everyone kind of reaches at some point where it's like
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was hard. Clarinet was really hard because, I had done so much work. I've done so much work with the cello and piano too, but the clarinet was first. It was hard to let go. And every now and then, so I couldn't find my clarinet. It was a very expensive clarinet, right? And so when you move from home and you've been away and you're like, Mom, I can't find my clarinet. Is it at home? And they can't find it. And you're like, where's my clarinet? And then you buy another one, which is what I did. But I haven't had time to really put time in. And you keep looking at it in the closet. And the same with the cello. Because it's hard to, cello is wood and you have to really take care of it, or the wood can split and it's not the same. So nowadays they have one that's an electronic cello that sounds like a real cello, which is, just the advancement of technology. I have that. I have two pianos. One's an upright, one's a grand, but I do sit down and I still play piano. But so, yeah, I've come back to it, but not in a way that I wish that I had kept going, if that makes any sense. Like, it's a hobby now, but what if I put in the time of all three? I could be my own band right now, my own little, trio. I don't know. It was hard to give up. And even today, I still think, if I had given it.
But you think about that specific, if I had taken that professional?
Oh, no, I definitely don't do that because I feel exactly where I'm supposed to be. What I miss is that I can't just pick it up again and just play like I used to, because it goes, like even my left hand is slower than it used to be. And I feel like if I give it a year, I could be back. That's just the young mind thinking, hey, I just need a year to get back to, this professional level. But no, I don't regret it at all. The only thing I regret is not saying, hey, it's not something you're going to do professionally, but you can keep it up. You can keep up your aperture. You can keep all these things up, but I didn't. Your fingers, anyway, yeah, that's the little thing I regret.
I think there are two ways that things go the way of the hobby. There's a way where it is like mostly regret, but there are certain people where it's like, I think about Eddie Murphy, where it's like, he seems very satisfied with the fact that he's not really a stand-up comedian anymore. But I think a part of that is because he feels like he's kind of done everything he possibly could in that lane.
That's true. Like, where is he gonna? He's like, listen, I have still to this day one of the number one stand-up. He's only done, I think, 2 or 3. It's crazy, but they're so they're iconic. They're legendary. He's like, what do I need to do? Why do I
Yeah.
need to do that again? Especially if it doesn't feed him. I can understand because some people need to keep doing it and doing it so they can get that feeling over and over. But
Yeah.
I feel like he's like not that guy. Clearly, he's not that guy.
Yeah.
He's like, I did something that no one can dub. Let me just say, very few people can dub it. And now I want to go do television and film. And he got clearly fed through that. And he does seem so content. And I saw his what was it? Coffee. This is with Seinfeld, Coffee and Seinfeld.
Oh yeah. Comedians in cars getting coffee.
Yeah, that was Eddie had done one with him, and he talks about a little bit of fear of trying to go back because he feels like he did it great. Like, why would I come back? And then if I come back, people are going to compare me to something that's legendary.
Yeah.
Do I want to do that? And if I remember correctly, and I don't want to be wrong, I think he said it scares him to do that. And so that's understandable as well. It scares me to go back to sit down and like, I'm going to play my cello and clarinet in front of people when I haven't done it. And it was good at one time and it just isn't as good anymore. I'm an honest person.
That's great.
It's a fact.
So when you start to take acting seriously,
Yeah.
it seems like there is a division that everyone knows that is probably not as dramatic as it used to be between like, serious stage actors and actors who perform on television versus film. I feel like those lines used to be very defined and now they're kind of blurred. Like, I think, Cedric the Entertainer is in the new in a new edition of an August Wilson play. There's a time where that would have been maybe odd. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice that those lines are blurred now. And they were so black and white, those lines back in the day. And even with music. So with theater, musical theater, a person getting into television was actually not. There was a time there that when they heard you were from theater, they took you seriously, right? They're like, oh, this person's a theater actor, performer. So they take this very seriously. So then that would be a easier crossover into television and film from theater. But from television to film was like, you are a television actor, you're not a film actor. These are very special people. But today, because of the streaming of it all, and really a lot of the streaming content is movie worthy, film worthy, there is no line now people want to get into television. What we're seeing in television is better than what we're seeing at the theaters now. And so there is no line now, which is really nice. And for me as an actor, I always where it all comes down to, and this is something I'll tell you when we were talking about me as a younger musician and singer, what always drew me to it. Yeah.
We're very similar in that way, by the way. I'm always second guessing my 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 word.
Your verbiage?
My
me
verbiage,
too.
yeah.
I'm like, did I say that right? Oh Lord. That's like 10 words in my head. Let me see if I catch the right one. But it's always comes down to the portrayal of the feeling, which is acting. So for me, when I realized as an adult, going back and looking, it was always the story. Music was how I told the story, but it was always the story that was important to me to portray. And as a singer and musician, I'm acting. I'm acting that story out. I'm acting the song out. I'm acting what I'm feeling through the music, whether it's piano, cello, clarinet, or singing. And so acting, I realized, was where the core of what I loved around everything else. I just chose to tell it through music first, and then now the music is in terms of singing and instruments. That's no longer how I'm telling the story. I'm just telling it through dialogue. But it's always been the story for me. So acting has always been the core. I can say that now, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like this Judge Travis project for me is the first project where, like, I started off doing stand-up, and then I started writing for, like late night sketch kind of shows. That's its own kind of dynamic. But this show is one where to me, it feels like there's a musicality of all the characters. And it was like such a unique challenge, recording with everyone separately and finding a way to make it all match. But I'm thinking about your your vigorous notes as an actor. And do you find a commonality between music and the dialogue and things like that? Are you?
Yeah, I do. I do. Not on purpose, but there is, you can almost, when you said that, I was like, of course it is. Like Travis is like the drum or the like loud trumpet in the back, like not being like soft at all, forte the whole time. You're like, can we have some kind of nuance in this song? Um, and I think that Shirley can be like the violin that's not quite tuning right. I mean, it's funny because if you think of almost everything every show you can think of, you like that's an orchestra, that's a band, and what instrument is each person playing? And that's
Yeah.
interesting. I think Judge Travis really can be that band with some strings in it that don't belong. Why is this violin with this band? Doesn't fit. But yeah, I love that imagery to think of even the Judge Travis as a band, and each person has their own music notes and instruments. Yeah.
Is that part of something that you're tracking though, as you're like, well, just tell me what it was like for this project specifically, because I'm so interested, first of
Yeah.
all, that someone who grew up, I always say that I grew up kind of sheltered. Would you say the word sheltered, or just kind of?
I would say that 100%. Yeah. Very much so. I have
And
stories
then,
about that, but yeah, for sure.
and then you get a role like this where it's like, some curse words. There's a point where
Yeah.
it's like, we really want you to just like, curse Judge
Go off.
Travis out.
Yeah.
Just go
Yeah.
off. And you kind of, fly into that mode.
Yeah.
For the role of Shirley or any character, like what are the steps that you take to prepare for it?
It's funny because when I read a script and a character, I know lots of people who will do like backgrounds and do really in-depth stuff on their characters. And if the script is good, you're telling me exactly who she is. I know exactly who she is. I feel who she is almost right away. And I used to think everyone could do this. I talked to my husband about it. It's like I can feel people out right away, like Keesha can. I know who you are right away. I don't know why that is. It's just something that I have that I actually now understand. I use that as an actor where I just know who they are right away.
Hmm.
And so my preparation comes from reading the script, really going through it, understanding what the writer wants this character to be, and then me putting I take that what the writer has created for this character, and then I take the character and make her, well-rounded. I know where she comes from. I know how many kids she has or doesn't have, wants to have or don't want to have, what kind of career she wants, because that's going to tell me who she is and what she's gone through. So if you have a character like Shirley, she doesn't take no mess, like it's like I had enough. I love this man, but excuse my language, fuck him. That's not Keesha at all. But after you start filling her out, and even I'm thinking of my other characters. This one character on Are We There Yet, Gigi, who was she's lighter. She's had this lightness about her, but she was like not the smartest tool in the shed. And that just all of a sudden her voice was like this, and it was like, wait, what are you saying? Oh no, I know what I'm talking about. But she's a know-it-all. Because I know what I mean. And yeah, so the voices start to change, and just depending on who she is and putting her in your body, and all of a sudden you have a character. And I have to sit down, like for me, when my script is marked, because I'm like, what am I doing? Where am I going? Where am I coming from? And that's going to dictate how she sounds. If she's rushing from an appointment, that's going to be different than sitting at home watching TV all day. So all those kinds of things, you have to go into your script and write where you're coming from, where you're going, what happened yesterday, why today is this happening? Because we're writing something, the writers are writing something important for this time. It's not the boring parts of life all the time, right? We don't want to watch that. So why are we telling this part of the story right now? So that's how a little bit of my preparation for going into anything is starting off there.
Yeah, you gotta see, you were so professional that there was a point where like, why? I'm 37 years old. Why is this beautiful grown woman calling me sir, like in between takes.
I'm telling you, and some people are taken back by that because you're a sir and a ma'am, whether you're 8 or 80. So, but when you're 40 and 30s, people are like, wait, hold up. Why are you calling me sir? Why am I a ma'am? And like everybody gets it. I'm sorry. I'm not being rude and I'm not calling you a certain age. It's just what I do. It just comes out. But it's funny. I do that as a director. Everybody gets called ma'am and sir. And when they know me, it's not an offense. But if they don't, people
Oh yeah.
feel a little
Well,
bit
for me, it wasn't an offense, but it was like I felt um thankful, or I felt I
respected.
felt like get respected.
I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. And I thought it jarred me, but then I was like, that says a lot about you. That for someone like me, someone who is starting their path in a
Mhm,
way
mhm.
in television and things like that, for you to give me that level of respect, it's like it makes me want to give you that level of respect. It makes me want to take the job just as seriously as you are. So I think
Well, I love
it's
that.
wonderful that you do that.
Yeah, I think even the sirs and the ma'ams is just what it is, but also the kindness wherever you go and whatever set you're on and whatever store you're in, whatever restaurant you're in, and you cannot find a person that's going to tell me that I'm not respectful and I'm not kind, because I think I want that. It's the way you're supposed to be. And it's not, I'm doing it so you feel good. It's just the way it is. And so even on set, when I leave a set, I want to leave it light. I want to leave it with light. And I want people to be like, oh, I don't need to be cruel. I can be kind and still get what you need done, right? Because if you're in a position of quote unquote power, it's not really, I don't even like calling that leadership. Leadership
Yeah,
is better. You're in a position of leadership. You're supposed to treat everyone as if you're serving them, because you are as a leader. And so when you go on to give people leadership in a kind way, that's going to teach someone else to do the same. So if that's all I leave here, that's what it's supposed to be. That's one of my purposes for me, I believe. Anyway.
and it feels like that's a very difficult vibe to keep intact in this industry. It feels like this industry, in many ways, tries to grind you out of that.
Yeah, it can, but it can, because if you find yourself like in a moment on set, someone treats you with disrespect, because it happens. Um, I just have to talk to myself and know that, one, it doesn't matter. What I know what I do, and I know what I do, and I know I do it well. So whether or not that person doesn't think this idea is great or whatever, it's not really about me. It's about whatever issue they're having. So you got to make sure you don't make it about you, because we're human. If we make it about us, we're going to turn around and feel angry, vindictive, or whatever the things are towards that person that treated you with disrespect, instead of saying that's their issue, has nothing to do with me, and you can be able to just let it off you. It doesn't
Yeah.
affect me because of that. And I have moments where if I have to talk to myself, if someone's really disrespectful, because I'm a woman and of a certain color and some of those things happen, I really do catch my breath, let it go, and keep it moving.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like even in certain roles, and I had a worry even once you were cast that, like, is this a part of like a trend of what might be described as a typecasting for you? Because
Oh,
you do on occasion play the bombastic.
I do. They're all a little different, but yes, I do. Which is funny, Tim, because it's not who I am, but I do tend to get, and sometimes, as Black women, we can, because the stereotype of the strong Black woman, but we are strong. We are other things as well. We're more than one thing. But there is a part, I never read it thinking I was being typecast. And I also didn't read it from a place of the angry Black woman.
Mm.
I read it from Shirley.
Yeah.
This is who she is. And
And your
there's
entrance is quite grand, and I feel like you found you found the joy, and you
listen,
tend to find the joy in that. It never feels like it feels like you, even from your role in Girlfriends, like you're in on it with the audience.
oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But listen, there's people like a Shirley who, and I won't say in on it with the audience, I'll say in on it with people in their lives, right?
Mm.
Women I know women that are like Shirley, and they know they have an audience when they do, you know. It's not maybe like they're not being taped and stuff. It's not in our industry. They know when they have an audience.
Yeah.
And they know when they're walking in, everybody's gonna listen because that's what I want. That's the Shirley. And I know women like that. And so we're portraying that woman. We're not saying every Black woman or every woman is that way. That, of course, we're not saying that. But there are women like this, Black, white, Latina, Asian, like Shirley. And she happens to be a Black woman who demands a few things, who's taken a lot and has had enough.
And yet still loves him. And I feel like that's the interesting, yeah.
She still has hope. Still there's hope, because she does love him, because she wouldn't be putting up with this if she didn't. Let's be clear. Because she doesn't need him. Let's be clear. He needs her. But that's the interesting thing about her too, because she is a strong woman, but she loves this man who is not the best for her, just honestly. And that women go through that too. There's women who are out there strong, can be on their own, but they love someone that may not be quite right for them, or may not be right for them at all. And we're showing a little part of that.
What was your first foray into television from theater?
My first okay, so my first television was a soap opera. And oh my goodness, my husband will remember. I don't remember the two. There was two small roles. And then my first film was Pootie Tang with Chris Rock. And that one. And so
get that, yeah.
And so what's funny about that particular role, it was all that was on the script was Party Girl who's crazy about Pootie Tang. It was nothing more than that. So if you go and watch the scene, I hope you laugh. But it's something that the young kids always still today come up to me and say, "You're the party girl from Pootie Tang. You're the one that drank the milk." That's what they say, that drank the milk. But that was my first. But on that set, that's when I knew, and I remember distinctly being on that set saying, "This is what I'm supposed to be doing." It was such a clear, not the role now, don't get me wrong, Tim, it was fun role, but on a film set, it was a feeling I hadn't felt ever. Even on stage, I've had a feeling on stage, of course, because I knew that's where I belonged as well. But that was another feeling that I had on that set, knowing, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be doing TV and film. Feels like home. And I'll never forget that moment on Pootie Tang of all movies. Yeah.
I'm putting together a concept of what the thesis of your work might be, because we talked about growing up and managing and negotiating with control, but also we're talking about the joy of music, the joy of creativity, the joy of letting loose on stage. And it feels like perhaps what you like about, especially as a director and being on set, is having joyful control, or being a joyful conductor.
Yeah, I love that term. Yes, joyful conductor. I'll take it. No, I really like that. Yeah, I would have never thought that, but absolutely, I love directing. I love it all. So I'm not picking one over the other. But there is something about being a director that I bring joy and all of that too. But there's something about being able to mold the story and having some control over it, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have all control, especially in television. But they do allow you as a director in television to have, if you come in with a plan, I'm coming in with a plan. I'm overly prepared. But I come in with a plan. And if you sell that plan, and by selling, I mean, say that this story needs this, that, because you truly have planned it, and you sell it to them in a way that they're buying it, because you're believing in what you're doing. This is not a sales pitch. It's really a sales, like, please, believe in my artistic voice in this episode. And if you're doing that and you're passionate about it, and they 9 times out of 10 are going to give you that little leeway that may not give someone else, because you come in and you are passionate about what you do. So I do believe that conductor, joyful conductor, is absolutely a great way of saying it, because I love it. I love being on set. I love my actors. I love all the other artists on set, and listening to their viewpoint and not taking it all the time, but giving them the respect that they deserve by listening to them say, hey, what about this color? Or whether it's production designers or whatever, to be in a group of artistic orchestra, I'll call it that, is nothing like it. And so I love the joyful conductor of this amazing orchestra of people. Yeah.
That's something I'm starting to realize that I love as well, because I used to do a lot of stand up, but that's not, it feels like in one sense, there's just so much stand up that it's kind of impossible to stand out, or to feel like there is a period at the end of a sentence, because it's just like, you open Instagram, there's tons of people doing stand up.
Yeah.
But what I love about writers' rooms, and what I love about, this is my first time show running something, is that it's communal. And when you're in that flow state in a writer's room, where you riff out a joke, and then that inspires someone else to say, and you're it becomes like this communal out of body experience, one that I'm willing to go into without dancing. Like that's my that's
your dance.
That's my dance.
Okay,
but then show running it's not it can be ego driven, but I think ultimately it's not really ego driven. It's really like, even though this story is something that I created, I can see all of the individual parts, from you to all the different writers to the editors and everything that brings it all together. And the joy is more satisfactory because of it. I feel like, where it's not like I could have written all the episodes. I could have played a character. I could have, and that would have been one thing. But I think that there's something fun about creating something, conducting it, but also being able to step out on many opportunities and watch.
Yeah. But I will say about the stand-up thing is, like, you're talking to the wrong person, because I'm going to tell you, I don't care how many people are doing it. They're not, listen, they're not you. They're not you. I'm very serious. They're not you. Yes. If I go by, so many people are doing it, like as an actor or whatever, I would never do it. Right? Yeah. So you have to, don't tell yourself that. No one is Tim. No one is you. It's impossible. You don't have a clone somewhere, unless you do, because maybe we know that maybe kind of exists. But all I'm going to say is, like, don't say that, unless if you walk away from it because you're like, that doesn't fulfill me anymore. This over here fulfills me in a way that didn't. That's different. But don't walk away from it because you think there's too many. There's no one like you. You're going to be unique. What your story is going to be different than everybody else's. Your audience is going to come to see you, not just jokes. See you give us jokes. So don't give up on that unless you want to walk away from it. I'm compelled to tell you that. So whatever that means. Thank you. So don't do that. I love what you said about the showrunner, and because the showrunner is absolutely not only the conductor, but the showrunner is also, if they're the creator, is also the composer, right? So you compose this music, and then you give it to others to say, hey, why don't we can we hold this note for 4 more counts? Instead of, you have it here as a beat. Can we give it 4 beats? Yeah, actually, I like that better. That's a great metaphor for a showrunner as well.
Well, I appreciate you for saying that. And I think I'm kind of like 50-50 on the reasoning for it, but I think that's going to stay with me. And on top of you calling me sir, that's another, the pyramid of
listen, sir,
of validation.
You cannot give up on that stand up. Okay, sir? Oh, yeah.
Well, the final question, I think in some ways you've answered this throughout the interview, but how do you feel about that first craft now? And the first craft was the clarinet, and I know that you are still engaged with it. But when you think back at the person who set out to master that instrument, what comes up in you?
Wow. First of all, I see the little girl in the band, and I also played at because I went to a Catholic church. I also played in their services, their mass, even though I wasn't Catholic. So that was always interesting too. But I don't know. It was. I guess looking back at it, because of what we just spoke about in this podcast, is it was my first rebellion without me even knowing. Like that little girl holding that Black instrument and playing those notes and learning them when no one else around me was doing that in my household. We all sang, but no one was playing instruments. It was my first little taste of rebellion that got me to where I am today, because I would not be doing I'd be a lawyer somewhere. Yeah, I would not be an artist had I not taken on that instrument at that time in my life. So yeah.
That makes me wonder every step of the way. I mean, how did your family react to Pootie Tang? I mean, if the clarinet is that.
I'm laughing because I was always scared, and my dad was a bit more lenient. So when I talk to her, it's really my mom. And so when I was always very concerned about her coming to see anything in high school that I was doing, like any kind of dance, any kind of thing. I would try to like make it as conservative as possible in my dressing and all that. And she was opening up a little, but in college, they got, I invited them to our first show, which was it 9? It might have been 9. Was it 9? I think it was 9. 9, it might have been. Anyway, I was wearing this particular thing that had a cutout in the front. And I was so scared. And I remember putting and it just had listen today, but back then when I was scared, I it had a hole here, like a cleavage hole. And it was a round hole. And when they came, I put a material in it. And so it took a while for my parents to just let go. Like with how strict they were about religion. They were still very religious, but not as strict as it was when I was growing up. And my mom opened herself up to accept that it's okay to dance and it's okay to be in this industry. And that's how it changed. It's really she changed, and that allowed her to enjoy and let go of control.
Now, was it an epiphany or the paychecks? Let's be honest.
I think it was a little bit of both. That money don't hurt nobody. So I think it was a little bit of both. But yeah, and also success in it, right? Because the money part, yes, but also watching her daughter become successful in what she wanted to do also didn't hurt, but she changed completely in terms of what she thought was okay and not okay. As a Christian, so yeah. Nice.
That's a nice full circle moment. Yeah. And I just want to thank you again. It's been a pleasure working with you. This is a real passion project, and it's really, it means a lot that your voice is a part of this chorus, this joyful chorus of Judge Travis. So
love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thank you for being an incredible conductor. A joyful conductor. It was really a pleasure to work with you. You were right on it. You were there with us, and I felt heard, and I also felt safe, which is a very important thing as a director. And you directed us in a way that I didn't feel like, oh, does he know what I'm talking about? Oh no, none of that. I felt secure and safe in your hands. So that says a lot.
And that's the show. Big thanks to Keesha Sharp for joining me. For more information about her, visit KeeshaSharp.com. Freddie Nunez created and sings the You Are the Genre theme song, and Adam Smith produced it. Next week, you'll hear my conversation with Samantha Irby. This is Tim Barnes signing off with your weekly reminder that you are the genre.